Zombie is just kind of like one of these, it feels like a dream that just gets progressively worse and worse and worse, and you can't wake up.
I've never seen two sharks talking to each other, but it doesn't mean they don't.
That's cinema, baby.
Running a temporal pincer movement. What? Pincer movement. But not in space. In time. Room sniff will off messing up. No. See action on it. Room sniff.
Hello, and welcome to The Good, The Pod, The Ugly, where I blow out the microphone every intro. And typically we pair movies to get a better understanding of a creative using our temporal pencil movement trademark. We're in season 17 trying to wrap it up, but we got a few more one-by-ones to do. So this week we're going to bring in a special guest by the name of Erik. You heard earlier this season.
Mm-hmm. Bullet.
Hello.
Hey, this is Thomas.
I'm Ken.
I'm Ryan.
Aforementioned guest, Erik.
Who picked a movie by the name of Zombi from 1979. Is that the correct year? Because sometimes these things get tricky.
Yeah, they do get a little tricky because they're usually released under like multiple titles, and it gets it gets lost in the Italian cinema watch. So it was actually originally released as Zombie 2, and then it was changed to Zombie Flesh Eaters as well.
Okay.
That's a long title.
Yeah.
Zombie
Why-
Flesh Eaters as well.
Why was it called Zombie 2 if it's Zombie 1?
I am glad you asked that question. Okay, so Dawn of the Dead, which Dario Argento helped George Romero produce, released Dawn of the Dead in Europe under the title Zombie. So
Even though the word zombie is never used, they don't use the Z word,
Yeah.
as we discussed at length previously on this podcast.
So the producer of Zombie said, well, we'll just piggyback off that and call it Zombie 2. And actually, Argento sued to try and stop him from doing it, but the court said, well, the word zombie is kind of like public domain, so you can't trademark it. So they hitched a ride off the successive Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, and Argento would have means to sue because he helped produce Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Which I mistakenly thought, trying to give the hard sell to my spouse to watch this with me, that I was like, oh, no, this was the movie that was being made at the same time as Dawn of the Dead in Italy, and they helped finance it. And it has also, because I got a 3-disc set from Movie Madness that had a soundtrack. I was like, oh, and this must have had this must have goblins doing the soundtrack. It's the only reason that they would have their own CD on this 3-disc re-release in 2018?
Yeah, I believe so.
Neither of those are true.
No, the soundtrack is great, and it's done by Fabio Frizzi, who did a lot of obviously a lot of Italian horror films, and also some westerns and things like that. So it's actually a fantastic soundtrack. The first time I heard the main title was that back in the 80s, probably like 85, 86, when Kmart was still around, going through the audio cassettes, and there's a cassette of like all these horror film main titles, and it was on there, but it was mislabeled, and I had a hard time finding it, and then I eventually found out that it was that it belonged to Zombie. I love it.
I'm trying to wrap my head around some of this. Okay, so this is a cassette tape at a place called Kmart.
Yes. So the cassette tape had, obviously an A side and a B side, and it had a collection of main titles from horror films. And Zombie was on there, but it was mislabeled as something werewolves. I can't remember. And so for the longest time, I thought I was looking for this film to try and find this soundtrack, and that movie, didn't exist. So then I eventually found out that it was the soundtrack to Zombie.
Okay.
Was that one of those cassette tapes where after you listen to it, you die 7 days later?
But I listened to that cassette just like nonstop. You're sitting there writing, you're in the room, you're writing, and you got the scores going. That was
okay. So it sounds like you didn't see this when it first came out, Erik, and we'll go around the horn in just a moment. But in 1979, it also covered on this podcast, Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Jericho Mile.
Another prison movie. Whoa.
Yeah. Mad Hatten and Kramer versus Kramer.
2 New York movies. Okay.
2 street movies.
Yeah.
And this very season, another film with Italians in it, Breaking Away.
Hey. Ciao.
Breaking Away, again, being coverage by a director we're never going to do a 4x4 for, never cover again. And also, Eric was too chicken shit to do Kroll, so he dropped out of that.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's called being smart.
Yeah. And Eric did skip out our last film, Resurrection, which we also invited him to. And
So no, I actually it took me a long time to see Zombie. Zombie was one of those films that when you read Fangoria, like people are always, lavishing praise on. And then my brother-in-law picked up the videotape. He rented it. And he's like, "You've never seen this?" I said, "No." And he put it on, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It was bleak and gritty. And I'm watching it, after watching Dawn of the Dead sort of on repeat. And even though Dawn of the Dead was, a low budget film, it looked crisp and clean compared to Zombie. And, Dawn of the Dead is, wait, so you're telling me there's a zombie apocalypse and we get to live in the mall. So that's more of a, where do I sign up film? Zombie is just kind of like one of these, it feels like a dream that just gets progressively worse and worse and worse, and you can't wake up. And like I said, it felt very bleak and very gritty. And it wasn't until I revisited it some years later that I was like, okay, I get this. And now I appreciate how bleak and gritty it is, especially as compared to Dawn of the Dead. It is very much a intentionally stark difference between the zombies that are in Dawn of the Dead and then the zombies that are in Zombie.
Huh. Sometimes when people revisit movies, things have changed in their life. Maybe they have an estranged daughter who's living in New York while they're in a Caribbean island doing testing. Did that have resonance with you because you just got a little bit more life experience?
No, I think what it was, at that time, had.
So can we get some dates? Like you're saying you're watching on VHS, but we watch VHS all the time in my generation now. And even Movie Madness, you can rent them.
So this is probably going to be like 84, 83, somewhere in there, and my parents' marriage was, kind of falling apart. My father had issues with alcohol. So I think I was really into escapism. I wasn't for anything that was presenting me with some sort of dark reality. Of what this would really look like, for the most part. So I wasn't looking for bleak at that time. I was definitely, like I said, the whole sign me up escapism. So now, like I said, later on in life, I revisit it after, I've started exploring a lot more films outside of the genres that I tended to stick to. Then it resonated with me a lot differently.
When you revisited it, was it like a better transfer? Like we're talking about the old VHS days, which was probably a grittier, uglier transfer. Than what I watched this morning.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that earlier, and I think there is that because those early VHS transfers were often not very good, depending on the print or the negative that they got to do those initial VHS transfers, and even some of the early DVDs were from VHS transfers because the rights for these things were just you found it, they came to you free in the mail. So there were a lot of cheap DVDs that got pressed out pretty early on, but it was actually more. So it was probably I saw it on DVD because I don't believe I owned it on VHS. So it was me picking it up on DVD, which probably was a slightly better transfer. But it, I think I was just ready for it at that point, because of where I was in my life, and I was really exploring. More of the horror genre outside of, the Hollywood algorithm, right? Mm-hmm. So, Dawn of the Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street, that kind of thing. And I started to branch out a little bit more on my.
Can we go around the horn of?
Yeah, this is my first watch.
This is my first watch, Ryan.
Mine too.
Well done, Eric. You took the task, the assignment of a 1x1, something of a director or actor you wouldn't normally cover, and you nailed it, I think.
Yes.
Now, before we ask how many times you've seen this film, Eric, there was a little bit of a phenomenon. I don't know if you all have experienced this or not, but somewhere along the way, my family decided that I liked Bubba Fett. I think that because I think I was listening to like an MC Chris song called Fett's Vet. Anyhow, they continue to buy me Bubba Fett paraphernalia
To this
for
day?
Christmas and my birthday. Yeah.
Into your early
And-
20s? Wow.
I know, and it's somewhere along the way it crossed some type of threshold where I can't say that I never liked them or don't like them. Maybe I could say I outgrew them. I don't know, but it becomes awkward now. It was awkward at all times, but even more awkward now if I was like, oh, I actually no, thank you.
Mhm.
I understand you have a few copies of this movie, Eric, and I was wondering if the same thing might have happened with someone who was like, oh. You like zombie movies. This says zombie on the tin.
I'll get that for you for your white elephant gift.
Yeah, no, I intentionally bought all three. So
And how many discs is that total?
So the second one, so the first one has 2 discs in it too. So 4, 6. I think between all
Sorry,
three.
I didn't mean to make you do math on mine.
Yeah, each one is a double disc, and I swear that I have a single press DVD that was done by like Elite, one of those fly-by-night companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I gave that to one of my kids when they moved out. So yeah,
What
they better take care of it.
Sweet housewarming gift.
Because that's going to be out of print. So they better hold on to it.
And how many times have you seen Zombie 2?
So I have I definitely watch it at least once a year. I typically watch it during the summer now, which is the same time that I tend to put Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on repeat. There's just something about them and the summer vibe and the warm weather vibe that they have, that both of those films have, that kind of, make me feel like I'm hanging at the drive-in, So, so I watch definitely once a year and probably a couple times a year.
Okay, and just for the record, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, there was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. It's not like Surf 2.
Or Zombie 2.
Yeah.
Or Zombie 2, yeah.
So I think Ken is aware of this. I was trying to do a soft remake of this film, but I was setting it in Mexico, and I mixed it with some 1980s drug war cartels and a special ops group, that type of thing, that were going rogue to rob the cartels, and then they happened to stumble across these zombies and coming after them. It took me like 10 years. So I thought I knew the story so well. I just started writing without an outline. And I opened up with a boat the same way, except it's on the Mexican River instead of the New York Harbor. And it took me 12 years to finish it because I totally got myself in a trap by not doing an outline. I finally finished it about 6 months ago. And it's terrible. It's awful. But
so it's in keeping in the spirit. I'm sorry, no reaction yet.
So it didn't come out very well. But what's great is that now I now figured out why, because I'm telling the wrong story. So it is something that I will try and revisit at some point.
And so that
all these other
that might be called Zombie 1.
So we'll see. And the thing is that I was really trying to dive into that original grittiness and bleakness that originally turned me off. So it's an interesting arc for me to really dive into that now, as opposed to how it made me feel originally.
So, can you talk a little bit about the director, about Lucio Fulci?
So Fulci, he was born in 1927. He's part of that World War II generation. He was born in Rome. Didn't start out as a filmmaker. He went to the Italian Naval Academy during World War II. After that, he went to medical school for a while, and then at some point decided there was more money to be made in filmmaking. So he clearly was not taking an economics class there.
Well, George Romero did that, right? I'm sorry, not George Romero. George Miller, right?
Yeah, George Miller.
Yeah. So he became an art critic for a bit. And then he finally made his first films in the giallo genre, because he hooked up with Argento early on, and they were kind of working on some projects together before Argento had made it big with Bird with the Crystal Plumage. So his first films were in the giallo genre. So The first film he did, I believe, is One on Top of the Other, which I have not seen. And then I looked up the plot. The plot for that film is pretty much the exact plot from the film Habeas Corpus, which is the film they're trying to develop in The Player. It is pretty much the exact same plot, even down
Funny.
to the last second gas chamber rescue with the governor calling at the last second. So
Because
now
that's real.
Because that's real. So yeah, so I have to pick it up and watch it. Unless I can sign a print, but it may be on Prime, so I'm gonna have to give it a watch. I was complete as I'm reading the plot outline for it. I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this movie. So he did a few more of the films, and he also did some spaghetti westerns. He was actually hired on Zombie. This is not something that he wrote. This was written by Elisa Briganti and Dardano Sacchetti, and the producer had a good relationship with Fulci and hired him. He was a hired gun to come in and do this, and it would actually be Zombie would be the film that would finally break through for him and bring him international recognition as a film.
What was the reaction I didn't do any background on this. I figure watching it was enough. What kind of reaction did it have upon its initial release?
So it was immediately banned in the UK. Put on the video nasty list. But it made its money back just like that. It was a huge hit, and it did very well, and pretty much made like Fulci like the guy everyone wanted to work with. Like the offers started coming in, so it was a hit right out of the gate for them. So
like, yeah, everyone wanted to work with him. Like Kubrick was like, I got to get this guy to direct The Shining for me.
Of course. He watched it and was like, oh yeah, damn, I got to work with this dude. And it's so it he started getting a lot of offers after this, and then he really wasn't a horror filmmaker. He wasn't really into the genre until this, and then he went in all in with horror, and that's where he made his name. Although he does have other films
zombie film after this.
Zombie 3?
No, so he had virtually nothing to do with Zombie 3 and actually kind of stayed away from it because he said it was a piece of shit.
Isn't his name on it?
His name's on it. Yeah,
Okay.
his name's on it. But when he did revisit the genre, it was through the Gates of Hell films.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a trilogy, and which I like the first one. It's very, very good. So yeah, and then like The Beyond, which is another one of his that people absolutely love. So yeah, so he went all in on horror. He does have some non-horror stuff, like Contraband is one of his action films that like a mafia action film that people really like. I have not seen any of his spaghetti westerns. I've kind of only focused on his horror stuff, but I'm looking to start expanding on that.
Interesting. Does anybody want to, Thomas, would you like to take a bite at the plot to this movie, since I did Resurrection last week?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to do title cards.
Okay.
So Zombie opens, I guess, similarly to, opens with a bang, because it has a doctor shooting somebody in the head. I think it even goes like down the barrel. You see a revolver pointed.
Mm-hmm.
And it says something about a boat being safe to leave. Yeah. So then we get a boat, and that boat's in the New York harbor.
Never forget Twin Towers.
Over and over again in this film.
Over and over again, like the Transamerica building in Freebie and the Bean.
Absolutely. It's like they're co-leads in this. So that's discovered by a Coast Guard who might be getting a bonus for bringing it in. There's an interesting conversation that I didn't quite follow, but all this will lead to an amusing scene by two medical examiners trying to figure out how somebody died, a zombie attack on the boat, and pretend like we're lovers scene between a reporter whose dad owns the newspaper and the daughter of the doctor who owns the boat that mysteriously appeared in the harbor. Uh-huh. This will lead daughter and reporter to go somewhere in the Caribbean in search of her dad. They meet up with two other Americans who have a boat, who are wary of going to the place where all the locals say is haunted. They go to that haunted island. They meet his fellow doctor, the dad's fellow doctor, and the doctor's mistress wife, younger wife, who has nice pert tits and is eaten by zombies. Oh, they meet some conquistadors, and they end up in a church where they have to have their last stand, kind of similar to the Granddaddy Urtext, Night of the Living Dead for zombie films. Using Molotov cocktails and the back door, they leave and get on a boat, and it's only 2 survivors are original to the newspaper reporter and the daughter, as they go back into New York Harbor, where they receive radio transmissions that all of New York and probably all of the United States is zombie now.
Uh-oh. Where are we going to go?
Dun.
So the cast of this movie, if you haven't seen it before, you have Dollar Store Mia Farrow. You have Dollar Store Michael York. Dollar Store Wyatt Russell. Maybe Dollar Store Gregory Peck for the doctor. A little bit of vibe there. But then you have a Cartier, Auretta Gay, who plays Wyatt Russell's wife, who goes scuba diving with the shark, topless.
So my partner pointed this out. She said she has more, because she's wearing a swim cap or something. She goes, she has more material on her head than she does the rest of her body.
Yep. Sacrifice at the altar of the male gaze and the shark gaze, I guess.
I think since it's Tisa Farrow and she's Mia Farrow's sister, I think she's at least outlet store Farrow. Mia Farrow.
I mean, this was a big year for her, because she was also like a background actress, party guest in Manhattan in 79.
Yes.
Oh, because at that time, Woody Allen was okay. Yeah, we don't want to go into that.
No.
What was Woody Allen doing in 1979?
Well, he was with Mia Farrow making a movie about a guy who rejected an age-appropriate relationship to be with a 16-year-old girl.
With a fucking teenager.
8-year-olds, dude. 8-year-olds.
So the only thing I knew about, actually, I didn't know anything about this film, but as soon as I saw this moment about to happen where the topless scuba diver decides to go down to take some photos and we see a shark, I was like, oh, fuck, this is the movie where zombie fight shark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which Fulci actually did not shoot. A second unit shot that in Mexico.
You have to be kidding. The most memorable part of the entire movie is not shot by him?
It's not. It's
one
shot
of the
in
most
Mexico.
Iconic moments of any horror film in the history of film.
Yeah, and when you read up on it, it sounds like he was not happy with it at all. So, but it still ended up in the film.
Yeah.
Well, it's still in the film, right? I mean, it's like, even though it's second unit shooting it, it's still in the film. Just like in Predator, the second unit of all the A-Team stuff that happens during the raid. I mean, it's still in the film. Just like they didn't have permits at the end to shoot the zombies walking on the bridge, and they had like 4 cameras, just steady cam or handheld, actually, because they couldn't afford steady cam. They just so a lot of this film. Well,
they had zero
Erik can talk about
permits.
it.
Well, they had zero permits to shoot in New York at all. So that Brooklyn Bridge scene. So the Brooklyn Bridge scene. Apparently, what they decided to do is that the producer told everyone when to show up and at what time, and then the camera crew got up there, got everything set up. The tech crew got there, got everything set up, and then it's like go, go, go. They open up these vans, and all these zombies in full makeup come running out of the vans and get on the bridge, and then they just start shooting. And you got the traffic that's going down below, and you got them crossing the bridge. It's a great shot, but completely just like, stolen stuff. Just no permits at all.
And see, that's where, to my mind, he fucked up, because if he had done like Snyder and just had fast zombies, they could have kept running and done more shooting.
In fact, the first time that Ian McCulloch found out that they had no permits, he gets to New York, flies in from the UK, and he goes to the visa office, and they ask him what his purpose is for being there. And he's like, I'm here to work on a film. And they said, what's the title of the film? So they look it up. It's not on file at all. And they're looking at him like, so what are you doing here, dude? This film doesn't exist. And he's like, no, I'm part of a film crew. And like, yeah, sure. So then they stamp on his visa, not allowed to work. At all. Wow. So that's the first time that he had, a clue that they had zero permits. And even for that scene in the New York Post office. So apparently they had no permits and no permission to be there except from a janitor. So the janitor is the one that said, "Yeah, sure, you can come in." So they go in there. They got an entire floor. They got their crew in there. But unfortunately for the janitor, Rupert Murdoch has scheduled a board meeting that same day on the floor above, and then found out what happened and what was going on, and kicked him out and fired the janitor.
Well, do you think McCulloch took it to heart and was like, "Well, fuck, I can't act in this movie. I could be in it. Well, I'm not allowed to act."
Not allowed to act.
No, that sounds like a reaction. We're not quite there yet, but I did think it was funny that because he did come from the UK, he didn't actually see the film in its entirety until many years after its release.
Many years later. In fact, when I was watching his commentary on one of the discs, he had not seen that eye scene at all until that moment. And so that audio commentary is him seeing it live, and he's like, "Jesus."
I mean, that eye scene's done pretty well. If we want to just call out different moments in the film, because you have the zombie fighting shark, and you have this eye scene, which is one of the few times, according to the cinematographer, that they had 3 cameras set up. So they had a camera above and 2 to the side, so that they could just capture a bunch of film and then make sure that in editing they get the shot that they need.
Yeah, it sounded like they could only do it once, and that's why they took that extra effort. So yeah, it's definitely one of the most iconic, horror scenes of violence, in the history of horror films.
Were they inspired? Were they inspired to use 3 cameras because of the suspiciously placed 3 mirrors next to the shower stall with no shower door?
I do not know.
There's a lot of mirrors surrounding that shower.
But speaking of that, I read a gay, swimming scene. She actually didn't know how to swim, so they said, okay. As I think Fulci found out she didn't know how to swim, he was pissed off, and he told her, "Well, Sophia Loren had to learn how to ride fucking horses." So they had an AD try to teach her how to swim in the hotel pool for about a week, and so they show up to do the scene where she's supposed to go in the water. They put the tank on her. And then suddenly she doesn't realize, oh my God, this tank is heavy. And she doesn't realize that it's going to make her sink. And somehow the rumor is that she somehow gets shoved into the water because she was being hesitant. And she starts to panic. And so the guy who taught her how to swim jumps into the water to try and get her out or get her back on the boat. And she's struggling so hard, he has to he's going to drown. So he has to get himself away from her. Someone else throws out this life preserver, in her tube thing, one of the round ones, throws it out to her, ends up hitting that dude in the head. And then, so she's still panicking. And then Ian McCulloch at some point yells, "God save the Queen," jumps into the water to get her out, but hits his forehead on the damn tank that she's wearing. So they eventually get her out and onto the boat. And then Lucio Fulci, who's been sitting there the entire time, watch all this play out, just gets up and says, "This crew is shit," and marches off. And unfortunately, this is one of the stories about Fulci that gets him with the misogyny rap. Apparently, he was very hard on actresses. So it's one of those things that, in biographies and things has unfortunately, put a little tarnish, on his legacy. But the guy who...
No, I know that being there was before this. It would have been amazing if they were rolling cameras so you could watch that just Three Stooges level of physical comedy you just outlined.
Yeah. So,
how did they convince people to go swimming with the shark?
That was all done in Mexico by a shark trainer.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. So I don't even know if that's Loretta Gay doing that scene. And when she finally gets underwater, I could not find out for sure. So I think we can assume it is. But if she could not swim with that tank, I don't think she's down there screwing around with the shark at all.
Right.
So to me, I would have to think it's not her doing that scene.
And actually, when you say screwing around with the shark, that is figurative. That's just to clarify, because we've talked about some wild stuff, and we're going to talk about some wild stuff in this movie. That there is no copulation with fish in this film.
So, yes. but that zombie down there is actually a guy who works with sharks. So he was completely comfortable the whole time. I'm impressed with how many long scenes he has with no air. That's really friggin' impressive.
That
everything about that scene was scary.
That makeup just staying on him for that long.
Yeah.
Wait, that was makeup? Do you think the sharks went back to other sharks and, hey, you know that guy that's always nice to us? We didn't even get paid. We're in a movie, so don't work with him again. And then sharks wouldn't be nice to him ever again because sharks talk.
No, I don't think two sharks talk to each other.
No, are you sure?
No, I'm not 100%.
I've never seen two sharks talking to each other, but it doesn't mean they don't.
I mean, the child of Jaws in some way found out to go after Roy Scheider's wife in Jaws 4. So
Jaws 4: The Revenge.
Yeah, sounds like
Michael Caine.
Shark talking to me.
Shark trauma. Trauma.
Generational shark trauma.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Are we to reactions yet, Thomas? Is the hourglass empty?
I mean, unless
maybe we need a reactions hourglass.
Well, maybe, Eric, is there any scenes that in my kind of terse summary that I left out that were important to cover for maybe the listener who hasn't seen it or maybe has a good the fortune to never see this film?
I think, the scenes that if you want to see something that is not as clean and crisp as the Hollywood version of zombies, and this would include The Walking Dead, I think, then you want to give it a watch because the violence is really in your face. And I know The Walking Dead being on cable, it got really graphic at times. But I feel like the way it's presented here is way more unsettling. Especially like when a Renegade's character gets her throat ripped out in that Spanish conquistador graveyard. It's pretty graphic, especially since we got the slow motion effects going there.
Well, just the eye scene. The eye scene is wild.
Yeah, I turned away from that one.
Yeah, because I think every movie kind of like adds to lore or like is at some level there's a canon for a creature such as a zombie, and so every new film adds something to it or has to deal with what comes before it for the audience expectations. And by calling yourself Zombie 2, you're already acknowledging Zombie 1, which is the Romero film we just mentioned. So in this, like, zombies are slow moving and humans lose the capacity to react to zombies upon seeing a zombie. They just stand there or let their head be drawn towards a sharp wooden object, unable to use their hands to brace themselves against it. So I just wanted to make sure, like, this isn't the Zack Snyder fast zombies. These aren't zombies who are learning like in later Romero films. These are somewhere ambiguously between voodoo, hoodoo zombies, and maybe a plague or a virus, and maybe magic.
Part of it felt like, because you're right, the voodoo part of it felt like really old fashioned. Like the first iteration of zombies was like a voodoo.
Yes,
stuff.
I walked with a zombie. With
and it's like somebody told somebody about Dawn of the Dead and what zombies are like, and say we need to write a zombie movie. But all they really knew about zombie movies was the voodoo part, and they kind of cobbled them together. And that's what this script feels like, anyway.
Well, and that's what's great about it is that Dr. Menard is trying to find the medical cause for it, and the villagers are like, "Yeah, no, bro, this is something else entirely." And I think, and that's what makes it really, kind of dark and nihilistic. Like, how do you stop a curse? As opposed to something that can be solved with medicine. And it just gets really bleak because they can't. But it does still carry that plague aspect because when somebody gets bit, they do die, and become a zombie. So, they're trying to like have it both ways, but the fact that they don't explain it at all is kind of nice. There's no what are the rules type thing.
Well, there is the one scene where the Gregory Peck, Dollar Store Gregory Peck, is like saying all of the things it might be or that they did. It almost sounds like Dr. Rick Douglas, MD, to a certain degree, that particular scene. But yeah, there is no explanation. There's no explanation of how conquistadors that died 400 years ago are buried 6 inches underground and still intact. Which the silliness, despite how grim it is, I mean, it's like, what kind of graveyard is that? Come on.
Oh, yeah. And I think it was like a matter of just a word association to my head where they're like, oh, American Caribbean islands, conquistadors.
Yeah.
And then, but what hurt my head is that that made it seem like, oh, well, the blacks are natives then.
Yeah, it's like
conquistador, like they have like the blacks were natives and like the conquistadors came and then they got attacked by the curse. But it's like no, they were all those humans were imported, right? Those are slaves. But because you don't know history, you're just like, oh no, conquistadors must have shown up and then all the black natives had a curse on them and then they died in the graveyard. It's like my grandmother found out that my mom was from Okinawa. But what she didn't understand was that my mom, who was, despite her first name, very, very white, was just stationed there with my grandfather, like was like a military brat. But she hears that, and so when first going to meet my mom, my dad's bringing her home to like meet the family and going to stay with them for a day for the weekend for college, makes nothing but rice dishes. She's like, oh, she's Japanese. What did Japanese people like? And then my aunt, who's a little bit younger than my dad, was like, oh, they eat rice. And so my grandmother just had so much white rice for my mom to make her feel comfortable.
That's kind of sweet, actually.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm sorry. Let's go to reactions.
Let's go for the youngest, Thomas.
I think that this movie, I guess similarly to some of my reactions from last week, talking about Resurrection, is almost like it's like when we talked about comedies and we talked about a bunch of sketches put together.
Yeah,
this does definitely feel like a bunch of ideas for a zombie film put together. And if that's your jam, is just watching scenes, then I think you might enjoy this film. But for me, I think the movie did a very good job explaining why you either need characters or a moral in your movie if it's going to be a horror movie. And with the absence of both of those, like it becomes a horror movie just is it's a music video. Like it doesn't have anything more to really engage with. And so really, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel bad when anybody died. I was very confused when the surviving doctor dude was like, "There's only one white guy on this island, but like all the zombies are white."
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wait, so a lot of white people died and became zombies. What? Okay, they're not all conquistadors. I know that.
Ryan,
I thought it was okay. Gore is not really. I'm not a gore hound. But all the action scenes and the zombie eating scenes were all fantastically done, I thought. I thought the plot was actually pretty interesting, and just the execution wasn't there as far as the speed at which it developed. And, the acting, which the acting's not great, but it's not like in some of those Romero movies, the acting is much better. It reminded me of something that Tarantino said about grindhouse movies in the 70s, which is that the average director had 2, 3, or 4 set pieces that they were really excited to do, and they were plugging so much money into those things that the rest of it, the other 70 minutes they needed to get to 90 minutes was slow and unless they lucked upon a really good plot, it was just middling. But that the audience was there because they wanted to see the fucking zombie gore. And so on that level, I think this is probably very effective.
I didn't think watching this movie that I was going to have to take a shot for you saying Tarantino during the recording of this.
I was hoping and praying every week. God damn it, Ryan.
You're hoping that I say Tarantino's name more? Because I
No, I want to go one without.
Oh, okay.
I think we went without last week.
Oh, during Resurrection?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the editing you do there. So before we get to the hype man Erik for this film, Ken, how did you find it?
I think I love like city work in the 70s. I love seeing like New York, even if it's just the skyline, and then they do exteriors and then they cut to interior. I love that part of it. I was kind of hoping the whole thing would be in the city because I didn't really know it. This was the zombie versus shark movie. And like Ryan, I'm not really a gore hound. And like my favorite horror movies are movies that I love because they're movies and the horror part is secondary. So not being a total horror maven, there's nothing really with the characters or a sturdy foundation of something thematic that really carries me through it. I'm really appreciative of some of the tonal stuff that Fulci does leading up to some of the set pieces. I think it's a really good slow build that works with the soundtrack. Yeah, not really my jam because there's, like Thomas was saying, the characters, there's nothing really to lom onto thematically or character-wise. But I appreciate the filmatism and its place in horror history. Obviously, it's one of the iconic movies of the genre, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, it's made a ton of money over the years. It's a perennial zombie merch at horror conventions, just gets sold out really, really fast. Especially because the main zombie, that's a very iconic image that's on the poster. And it's, I think people do have it up there with Dawn of the Dead, and Romero's work. Mm-hmm. Just because it is such. What's great about it is that it stands alone. I think as zombie films go, because of how Fulci does shoot it, how it's presented, plus the soundtrack and the mood. The performances aren't great because this is not something that you're going to get really deep, well-drawn characters. You're going to get character types, the reporter, the daughter, right? The couple that just wanted to go on vacation until these two idiots fucked everything up. So it's really just about the experience. And I think it's a great drive-in type movie. It's a movie you don't have to put too much thought into. You just sit back and let it unwind. And, you kind of just enjoy it if you're a horror fan. And it's, and like I said, the whole thing is definitely a mood. And I think it's definitely an all-time classic. And I think it's probably Fulci's best film. I think when you look at how he shot a lot of stuff, there's a lot of camera movement. There's a lot of sleight of hand going on. And I think there's a lot of interesting angles that you only think about afterwards. They don't take you out of the moment. That's always one of my complaints about, Raimi, is that I think, Raimi does so much of that, it can take you out of the movie.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it as much now, but his early years he did. I think Fulci does it and it keeps you in the film and then you think about it afterwards. So, I think it's great. I think it's a great example of Italian horror and that it plays more like a dream. And I think Thomas is right. It's like they are, like, we think about the sequences and then we're going to fill in the stuff around them. And that's how a lot of like Italian horror comes together. Like Argento's famous for that. Like his plots make no sense, but the sequences are pretty disturbing. They're pretty great. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a great example of Italian horror.
And like a lot of those giallos you had us watch during was that last 4x4 or the 4x4 before?
Torso, maybe.
There does seem to be a very strong late 70s bra allergy.
That was a worldwide epidemic, Thomas.
It was
exclusive to Italian films.
Yeah, no, that was. Those are the great 70s films of the U.S. as well. So that's how you timestamp a movie you're watching. It's like, oh, this was made in the 70s.
Oh, pre-brawl,
oh, wow.
post-brawl.
You were a little too into that, Erik.
Jacqueline Bisset, The Deep. Come on.
I was surprised that airports used to look like airport lounges, but for the whole airport.
Oh, where I was wondering where that was filmed because I part of me didn't really think it was in New York. That was gorgeous,
wasn't it?
Late 70s set design.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
And to see everybody in airport departures lounge, like looking bored instead of on their phones, magical. Not to be old guy shaking fists at cloud, but
Why weren't they looking at their phones in the 70s?
oh, Thomas, we'll talk about that off air.
I did really like the cinematography, particularly around the kills, and I definitely noticed what you're saying about that, Eric. And then the dreamy, tone may not be for the youngsters in the audience, but I did feel that carried over from I Walked with a Zombie, which is meant to be, you're kind of supposed to be hypnotized that whole movie.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Much like our film last week, Resurrection.
Yeah. I do like you said, I said that at one point, what is it? Windy with a chance of zombies. Like there's some great exteriors where it's just like windswept and they're capturing like a crab walking across, like walking across the frame while zombies are in the deep. Like
I love that shot.
Yeah. So there's some really nice looking things. I think this is a movie that could definitely be made into a bunch of GIFs, and the only ones that I've seen are for the woman who can't swim, like shaking her head.
Yeah, and it also has perspiration and sweat. I think this is something Ken and I were talking about a little while back. It's like bring back perspiration and sweat in movies, make it look like real, like make it look like they're really enduring, the situation.
Yeah, definitely.
And comb overs, because I was watching the end of the film and I was like, man, I couldn't quit thinking about like how expensive hair plugs must be for that report. Like if the reporter could afford them back then or not.
Yeah. Well, one other real quick thing about Ian McCulloch is that his wife's uncle was actually on the board of the that was going to decide which films have to go on the video nasty list and they were going to ban in the UK. And he told him, he's like, well, I'm in 3 of them.
Really? What? I don't even know what this guy's filmography is like. You guys keep talking. I'm going to look him up.
So it would be Zombie and then Contamination, which is a really fun Italian riff on Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, fuck. He's in Where Eagles Dare. One of my favorite movies.
Yeah. He used to be like a comic actor, if I remember right. And then he became a little bit more serious. And then he became, I don't know, Giallo food.
And then he was also in Zombie Holocaust with John Saxon. But yeah, no, he's Royal Shakespearean Theater Group along with Richard Johnson, who's also in this film. So that's what he talked about, that Fulci treated he and Richard Johnson with utmost respect, but then treated everyone else like shit. So he was in a lot. He did quite a bit, but he didn't really know what this film was. His agent just said, hey, they requested you and they're going to shoot in Santo Domingo and New York. He's like, great, I've never been to New York. And he just sent me the script. Well, the script they sent him was in Italian and he kind of felt it was on purpose. So he didn't get English translation pages until he was like all signed in and there was no getting out of it. But he must have enjoyed the experience because he did 2 more Italian horror films afterwards.
Well, yeah. It's a paycheck, right?
It is.
Thomas, to your earlier point about the zombie canon, the first zombie that's on the yacht at the beginning, that kind of bloated fella, reminded me very much of the kind of wormy zombies in 28 Years Later.
Yeah, or you mean like on the train, or okay, you're just saying like out in the wild. Yeah, I also feel like there's larger zombies maybe in Resident Evil, the video game. But to see a heavyweight zombie is great, like a big boy zombie.
Yeah.
The disc that I watched has an intro by Guillermo del Toro, and he was talking about how that being the very first zombie that we see just really sets the tone to really differentiate it from Dawn of the Dead. He said, and it's pretty clear for the zombie to be that fat that he ate everybody on board.
Yeah. He's been eating good as that boat crosses the Atlantic.
Yes.
So do zombies poop? I don't know.
I was just saying he's really constipated too.
Yeah.
Yeah, where does all that food go that they eat? I don't think I've ever seen. Has any zombie film ever explained what happens to all the stuff they eat?
I think it just rots inside of them, and then eventually their stomachs just burst from decay, and then it just keeps leaking out.
Huh.
Is this covered in Zombie 1? Is this when you finally had a crack to be able to have
Well, I'm glad that I subjected you guys to this. This makes up for that Crow movie you made me watch.
Oh, this is tit for tat. Crow 4, Zombie 2.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I still think you got the shaft on that one, Eric.
Yes, I did.
I don't know.
Plus, I had to pay like $3 to watch it.
Boo. I watched this via a Russian pirate site. So Bezos is not sponsoring this week's episode, which has everything, by the way. Highly recommend it. I used to be so anti-pirate, but man, these fuckers ruining everything. I have no other choice.
I want to call you a commie trader, but of course that's not really accurate.
No, it's not.
State capitalist trader. There you go.
Yeah, that's
oligarch lover.
What? The opposite of.
Well, we've degenerated into name calling, just like last week.
So people can watch it on Tubi if they would like.
Commercials.
That's where I watched
it's a 90-minute.
Tubi.
How long did it take you? 2 hours because of the commercials?
No, there weren't very many commercials for this one.
Yeah.
And Eric, before we go, I was going to ask you about your podcast, Blood and Popcorn. Yep. And I looked it up this morning, and it hasn't been updated since like April. So I'm wondering, have you given up the financially lucrative, sexy world, middle-aged male movie nerd podcasts?
No, it has far more to do with being so busy with writing projects that I can't go into, with deadlines that I just have not had the time. So, plus renovations on the house, also playing into it. So, yeah, I had just been writing nonstop for the past few months. So,
wow.
Yeah, no, and the thing is that I want to do something because I missed out on the whole backrooms and obsession conversation. Yeah. But now there's even some more stuff about that to go into. So I do want to do an episode here pretty soon. I was just thinking about it the other day, but it's just been so busy.
Erik, fucking what a great judo move, because Ken put you on blast saying, hey, why is your podcast not being updated? And you turned around and said, because I'm writing, motherfucker. What have you been doing? Podcasting? So if we have a slight break between this episode and our finale, you know why? Because Ken's out writing and he can't edit.
That's also the reason I wasn't on the Steel Magnolias episode a few weeks ago. I'm a busy boy.
Yeah.
But I always have time for my friends. That's what you need, Eric. Like every dog needs a friend. Every podcaster needs a co-host to keep them going.
I mean, with not having friends, I've made so much fewer trips to the airport, and I haven't had to help anybody move in like years. So there's benefits to being a lone
friends
wolf.
Without benefits, or no, benefits without friends. Yeah.
So no, I'm hoping to wrapping everything up this next week. So I'll probably have an episode going on. There's a lot of things to talk about, actually. Like I said, obsession backrooms, some of the jealousy from middle-aged filmmakers, about these young guys who, just went to the proving ground of YouTube. It's a very different environment now. And I think, those of us who grew up, shooting stuff on Super 8, a 16 millimeter, then having to send it off to the film processing or the drugstore, to get it back to see if we shot was any good. I mean, now these guys, are being born with, entire filmmaking setup on their phones or on their computers. And, they're putting it out there on YouTube and they're getting feedback in real time. So that whole creative maturation process is so condensed for these guys, as opposed to, our generation. And I don't think there was any reason to be jealous about that and try and run these guys down. Just accept that, time and tide march on all the time and things change. So you can either, get with the program and try to catch up, or you can just shake your fist and cry. So, really impressed with Curry Barker and Obsession, Kane Parsons and Backrooms. And I hope to be talking about those guys here on the next episode in a few weeks.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we look forward to that. And you know what? I agree with everything you said, but also one of my hobbies is shaking my fist and crying as well. So,
but not at these youngsters, not at these YouTube whippersnappers.
No, just the indifference of the universe. is generally my main crying.
Yeah, the rumors that these guys didn't actually write these and direct these movies. They're just the face, and I'm like, who does that? What? It was ridiculous. Especially if you look at Curry Barker's, track record on YouTube. Those are some really funny ass videos. He's really good.
Yeah.
Well, and the Kane Parsons stuff, I mean, it seems like Perkins and Sean Levy were brought in to like put the shitty story in there. Like it seemed like he brought the atmosphere and they had to, Blumhouse was like, but there's got to be characters talking. And so Sean Levy stepped up.
But also, Ryan, you don't care about the auteur theory. Like, who the fuck cares about any of this? Poltergeist is still a good film, even though Spielberg couldn't say he directed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's, I think the thing I liked about Backrooms is that it was very much a mood, it was very much a vibe. It really reminded me of some 70s type filmmaking. He really tapped into that for a young guy who didn't grow up in that era. And I think Obsession was just a very brave kind of retelling of, the monkey paw story. And for the people who are familiar with some of the screenwriting tropes, the first clue in that film that he's going to take a different take and that Bear is not the protagonist, is not the good guy in the story, is that, there is these things called, Blake Snyder's Save the Cat methodology. And what that means is that within the first 10 pages, your character should do something good or altruistic, like saving a cat stuck in the tree.
Mm-hmm,
in the first 10 minutes of that film, Bear's cat fucking dies. So I think that's Barker and his partner saying, this is not the kind of movie you think it's going to be. And it works.
Wow.
It works really well.
If you guys want to feel old, two things that I heard. Curry Barker was asked about the monkey's paw, and he said, "I saw that on The Simpsons." That was his exposure to that story.
Yep.
And Kane Parsons was asked about the Lynchian quality of Backrooms, and he said, "I actually had never seen any Lynch before I made this movie, but my dad, after getting a divorce, turned the garage into a red room homage. So."
That's awesome.
So that's how he found out about Twin Peaks, and Curry Barker watched The Simpsons to get the monkey's paw.
I mean, it's a parent's responsibility to pass on, their film knowledge and film love to their children. So
Yeah,
generational trauma, as we were just talking about earlier.
If my midlife crisis one day, turns into Backrooms for my kid, then I'm not going to worry about it anymore.
So I hope to circle back and then talk about that stuff here in a couple of weeks. So I was very impressed. A lot of films that have been coming out recently have been really overhyped, and I've been let down.
Mm-hmm.
But Obsession definitely was not.
Eric, just keep telling us your thoughts on these things. This will be your blood and popcorn episode.
Yeah.
Can I edit it for you?
Hang on, hold on.
Yeah. No, and I got to go into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake that Barker's doing too. So a lot of people aren't happy about that.
I look forward to having you back on the pod in the future, Eric, probably for Masters of the Universe, whenever we do our remakes season.
Yeah, I'm busy for Masters of the Universe.
Thank you, Ken, for the editing.
Yeah, or we could have you back for our Knight Rider episode, where we do both the Travis Knight's 2026 films, Masters of the Universe and Wildwood, made in Portland, taking place partially in Portland.
Oh, yeah, Forest Park.
Yep, that'll be another one.
I was just walking the Wildwood Trail earlier today.
And you made it back?
I did.
You're the first one to make it back in months, Ryan.
I bet.
Okay, we're getting close to rock bottom. Let's wrap it up. Ryan, thank you for the theme song.
Woo.
Thomas, thank you for the show notes. Oh, you're welcome. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for editing, Ken.
Thanks for having me and let me pick a movie to bring some culture to your podcast.
It was a great selection, Eric. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I think it was a masterful selection. Not a movie I'm going to watch again, but it's fun to talk about. Thank you.
You're banned for the rest of the season.
Oh, brother. Speaking of, next week is our season finale. We're going to be doing Audition, joined by one-time co-host, soon to be never again on the podcast, Jack.
Woo! Congrats, Jack. He got out.
Yep. we'll keep trying to pull him back in. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, you bet, man.
All right.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the morticianer who just, his whole acting was just shaking his head back and forth.
Oh, at the guy. And like, dude, his assistant, he was such a fucking asshole. That was actually my favorite part of the movie, too. How'd we forget that? It was funny.
Now I'm just
It's
shaking
like-
my head.
Why is your scalpel so dull? That was great. That movie peaked character-wise very early. All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
Time. Running a temporal piston, temporal messing up. See how piston movement. In space. Time. Running a temporal piston, temporal messing up. See how piston movement. In space. Time. Running a temporal piston, temporal messing up. See how piston movement. In space. Time. Running a temporal piston, temporal messing up. See how piston movement. In space. Time. Sniff, we're all messing up. No. See how piston sniff.
Because that's real.
Because that's real.
Because that's real.
Because that's real. At that time, Woody Allen was okay. Yeah, we don't want to go into that. 8-year-olds, dude,
Well, Sophia Loren had to learn how to ride fucking horses.
every week. God damn it, Ryan.
Oh, that's funny.